welcome to another episode of Never Had a Bad Day. My name is JT Smith, and I'm here with the one, the only, the country artist, Connor Smith.
Yeah, we could be brothers.
We have the same last name,
yeah.
dude.
It's a very unique last name.
Yeah, super unique. I think there's only like 4 million people in America who
100%,
have it.
100%.
I actually looked that up the other day, and I think it's like
Did you really?
4.4 million people in America have the last name Smith.
That's crazy.
It could be higher, honestly. I
That's
can't
crazy.
quite
I kind of feel
remember.
bad for my wife because I gave her the most so my best friend in the world. We've been best friends since we were 12, and his last name is Victory.
No way.
Yeah, his name's Jack Victory, and so him and I got married at similar times, and
You guys
my
together?
wife.
I'm just kidding.
And my wife got the last name Smith, and his wife got the last name
Victory.
Victory. And I'm like,
Yeah. Did she hyphenate it, or she just took Smith?
yeah, she just took Smith.
Respects on her end, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's sacrifice right
100%,
there.
100%.
She sounds like a good girl. Well, first of all, you just dropped a song yesterday.
Yeah, man. First song in a while.
First song in 13 months, is that right?
Yeah, 13 months. I put out a duet with my buddy Dylan, who we were just talking about.
Country in the Clouds.
Country in
right?
the Clouds.
It's a banger.
Thanks, man. It's a cool song. We put that out in, I think, April
Okay.
or May maybe. And but of solo releases, it was this song we just put out yesterday. It was the first song in a while.
Ain't Got Enough Faith, right?
Yes, sir.
Dude, it's so good, bro.
Thank you,
And
man.
the whole 41 minutes of stuff you
Thank
put
you,
out,
man.
bro. How did you get that idea to do that out there? Because it
It's-
was such a dope, scenic kind of experience.
Dude, it's crazy. Obviously, this last year has been a crazy year for me and
Yeah.
my family, and just a ton of change. And in the middle of all that, there was I was stepping out of a record deal, which was something that I felt really called to do, and so I just asked out of my record deal, and it really came from this place of just my whole heart in country music is to how do I truly set a new path and a new standard for what it looks like to honor God. And in that, there is a level of radical obedience that it takes.
For sure.
And I felt in that that based on just contracts and team and expectations that I didn't fully have that level of obedience to be able to hear what he was doing and then steward it.
Yep.
And so stepped out of a record deal in the last, I think that happened in October. And so I hadn't done anything for about 5 or 6 months, and I was thinking about, okay, I'm about to take this first step into this new chapter, this whole new season of my life and my career. And what do you do first? How do you step back
Yeah.
in? And I was kind of thinking of some plans, and I had this whole thing kind of mapped out in my head. I would post this and this and this, and I just got a bunch of anxiety, and I was just like, man, this feels like man-made. And so I got on my knees one afternoon, and I just said, hey, God, you're so much more creative than me.
Dang, yeah.
And you, I want you to tell me what to do, because I could make all my plans, but it's what is the, Psalms 127, Lord builds a house, the workers labor in vain,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so I was like, can I just give this to you? Because it's making me really anxious.
Wow.
And the next day, this idea came, what if we I just took 10 of my favorite acoustic songs. We did one video up on the mountains, and so we did it, and we did it in a week, and it was so special, man. And then the rain came perfectly that day, and made it even better.
Bro.
And so yeah, the first thing we did back, and really kind of the thought behind it was okay, if I'm gonna not have a record deal, what is something that I could have never done if I had a record deal, which is release 10 acoustic songs onto YouTube, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just put them out there.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did, and it was I don't know, man, it just felt really cool. Creatively, it was really inspiring for me.
Bro, that is actually so inspiring too, because I feel like I've been around a lot of artists, and they're always in this wrestle of they don't necessarily love social media. They feel they're being fake, and then they're getting pressure from the label to do it a certain way, and they lose autonomy, and then all that kind of muddies up that connection they have with the Lord, who obviously is the most creative.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love that you said you were anxious and you gave it to the Lord, because I feel a lot of people struggle with that, especially as an artist. you've got numbers to hit, you got to put food on the table, you know what I mean? Like, and you get stuck in this like cycle, you know?
You have so many people who are dependent on you.
First, yeah, your whole team.
You know, and on like your talent and like how well you do. And, and you got this team and this band and all these people, and it's such a blessing. But it also comes with a lot of pressure.
Yep.
And so I've struggled with that anxiety for years. And I would say just recently in this last year is when God has kind of given me a peace over things, just to say, hey, God, like, and a lot of that was just in breaking me down over and over and over again.
Yep.
You know, even in my testimony, it was like when I gave my life to Christ, and was just like, you know, I walked with the Lord for my whole life, but there was like a clear moment when I was 21 that I was just like, no, I'm actually gonna like live for you.
Yeah.
Like in every way.
Yeah.
And so he just, and in my head, I think I thought like he was just going to take what I was doing and just like bless it more, which we laugh at, you know, because it's like, no, he was actually going to break me down to the studs and rebuild a completely different house.
Yep.
And so he's taken me on that process. And so I feel like just now, like literally in putting out 41 minutes and in putting out that song yesterday, it feels like for the first time I'm walking in this place where it's just like, all right, God, like whatever you want to do, just let me know. And I'm going to try to be obedient. I'm going to fail at that over and over. I'm going to try to take the reins over and over. But like, God, every day I'm just going to try to surrender, make you the king of my heart. And inside of that, you know, I had a lot of conversations with Corey Asbury. Was a guy that, you know, we were talking about him before. He's one of my really close friends. And I remember early in the year, I was wrestling with that. Like, we didn't have a ton of shows in the books. And I was thinking about my band guys and like, how are they going to pay their rent and like all these things. And I felt like a failure in that.
Yep.
And I remember wrestling with that with him, and he just said, hey, man, I understand that because I've been there, but I had to learn that God's their provider. I'm not their provider.
Bingo.
You know?
Yeah.
And so just God just taking me on a learning process of all those things, which puts me in a place now for the first time where I feel so free and creatively inspired to, like, just do whatever comes out naturally.
Dude, I mean, that's amazing. What a great feeling that must be, dude. Because then it takes all the pressure off of you and your ability. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and obviously it's an everyday you know, battle. Yeah. But yeah, it really does, because it's just like God's gonna bless it or He's not. You know, and at the end of the day, we just have to walk in obedience because His plan's always better.
Always,
you know, it's
every
cliche,
time.
but it is. So.
Every time, man. That reminds me of one of my favorite verses is Philippians 4:6-7, when you were talking about like this anxious feeling. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything through prayer and petition asking with thanksgiving make your requests known to God, and the peace of God which transcends all understanding will guard your hearts and minds. And that's the spot I want to be living in, man. You know what 100%. I mean?
It's interesting because there's such a clear formula there too.
Yeah, He lays it all out.
It's with thanksgiving.
Yep.
It's lay everything at the feet of God. Be grateful for what He's given you already.
Yep.
Trust in Him. And, I mean, if you've walked with the Lord in that way, that verse is not just a verse. Like, you know that to be true. And I've certainly felt that in my life.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. And it's simple, but it's not easy.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
That's so good, bro. That makes me so happy for you. Well, just to back up a little bit, like, how did you get into music in the first place?
I grew up in Nashville since I was 6.
Okay.
And when you kind of grow up in Nashville, I always say it's like on the list of jobs you can do, you know, because it's just you're around it.
Right.
And so at the age of 6, man, I fell in love with the idea of songwriting and writing songs. And so when I was probably 6 through 13, I would write songs every day, and they were all worship songs. They were all like contemporary Christian, Matthew West, Brandon Heath, like those guys. Yeah. I was just Chris Tomlin, like those were my guys. And I always say like I wasn't bold enough to like write a love song for a girl, so I just like wrote them for Jesus, you know. And so I kind of thought early on, like I always knew I was going to be a songwriter, I was going to do music, and I kind of thought early on that would be kind of in the Christian space, and then. In middle school and high school, they all just became country songs. And I always loved country music. Like, country music is my favorite genre.
Yeah.
And then was fortunate enough when I was 16 to sign, like, a deal for being a songwriter, and then a record deal when I was 18. And so it was just kind of always the path I was doing and I was chasing after. It was music and baseball for me. And I loved both of them. And then, but pretty early on knew, like, you could have asked me at 7 years old, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I was like, I want to write write country songs, you know.
Dang, that's crazy. I
Yeah.
feel like not a lot of people actually know what they
I
want to
know.
do at 7 years old.
Yeah, I always say, man, it's a pretty crazy thing. Like, it was just like God had gifted me with some ability and some like passion for something, but then he put me in like the exact perfect environment to foster it. And so I feel really fortunate in that.
Yeah, bro, that's huge. Talk to me about the baseball thing, because I think I saw that you like won the Little League World Series or something.
Yeah, we went to the World Series when I was 12.
Okay.
I was just on this Little League All-Star team. You play like 5 tournaments. You play the district and then the state and then the regionals, and then you make it to Williamsport. And so we won all those tournaments, make it to Williamsport. We got like top 8, I think, and out of like 16 at Williamsport, and it was like the coolest. It was literally the coolest thing ever.
Oh, I bet. And how old were you at that point?
I was 12. And,
Okay.
And like I had to play on top 10, like
No
Sports Center.
way.
Yeah, I was number 9 on top 10 at 12. You know.
No way.
And I like missed the first 2 weeks of like 7th grade because I was like playing baseball on ESPN. Like,
oh, dude.
it was the coolest thing ever.
Did you come back as like the king of your like
I had
elementary
like
school?
I had like a week run, you know, where everybody thought it was cool, and then it
right,
you know,
it fizzled out.
and then
Always
everybody's
does.
like,
It
yeah,
always does.
It didn't live up to the hype, you know.
No. So at that point, did you second guess like maybe I want to do this, or was it always
No,
just
it was
music?
just always. I mean, I thought I'd do them both, you know.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's
thought
possible.
I'd play college baseball or whatever, but no, it was always like very clear that I was gonna write songs.
Yeah, that's so dope. So I think I saw. It's funny because Nora's actually the one who put me on to you.
Oh, let's go. Thank you.
Long time ago. Heck yeah. So I've listened to your music since probably like 2021.
Thanks, man. Day one.
Yeah, for real. But I think was your first kind of like breakout as like an artist, kind of like a TikTok that popped off, I think.
Yeah, it was a song called "I Hate Alabama."
Yes.
Which I'm a big Tennessee guy. Tennessee plays Florida today, by the way, and
That's
and so
right.
it's good to be here.
In Gainesville,
yeah,
right?
in Gainesville.
Yeah.
So it's good to be here. But
yeah. Be with the Vols.
yeah, I put out a song called "I Hate Alabama." I was 21 at the time. All my friends were in college at Knoxville, and I put out the song, just kind of a college football anthem, heartbreak song sort of vibe, and it just like kind of went crazy. And it was just kind of the first moment for me that like, as a new artist, you kind of need that like identifier, and so early on, like it was like, oh, the "I Hate Alabama" guy, you know.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
that kind of started it for me, and that was like the fourth song we ever put out, and so it was
Dang,
cool.
that happened pretty quick. But you were writing before that and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was 21 at the time, so I'd had a record deal for 3 years by then.
Dang,
I've been writing for forever.
that's crazy. So, obviously now you're touring, you're doing your thing. How is it like being a Christian and being a touring country music artist?
Yeah.
Because I've been around music, not necessarily country, but I can see, enough to know like
Yeah.
there's definitely some stuff that probably is going on that maybe isn't the greatest stuff or
Sure.
whatever, and you're on the road and you're getting depleted and temptation, all that stuff. So I've always wondered like how that is to kind of navigate.
It's a big question. Like there's so many avenues in that, but yeah, it's an interesting calling, right? Like I kind of tell people sometimes, I'm like, if you think about all of if I was trying to be like follow the Lord and like just be a good husband, just had a normal job, like I would just avoid all of the environments that my job takes me into.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And so there is a ton of just things that you just have to have your armor on and constantly be recalibrating your spirit. Like I feel like I got a tattoo right here that says abide in Hebrew from Psalms 91.
Yep.
Because it's just this daily, like you just have to keep abiding because there's so many things trying to grab your attention in every way. And at the same time, there's a beauty because there is an ability to be set apart inside of that.
Yeah.
And be in the world but not of it.
Yep.
And country music's really special because it's a place that does have so much space for Jesus, and
For sure.
and we lead worship. We do a worship song every night in the set, and if you guys see it today, it's like people really respond well, and so that's really special. But I definitely think there's a level of when you're on the road, as you know, like there's no rhythm to your life,
Yep.
which spiritual disciplines are cultivated out of rhythm. So that's challenging. Just constantly being on the go, constantly being in different environments, constantly be around, temptation. It just makes you stronger. And so I've noticed that when I'm home for a little bit, like it actually kind of propels me forward to where I'm able to kind of step into those things because there is a strength that's built over time. But man, I'm sitting here. I've been really following the Lord inside of this for 2 or 3 years, and it's been a battle every day. And I just try to grow and do my best and stay obedient and fail a lot and just center myself around good people, and that's kind of all that matters.
Yeah, 100%, dude. I mean, it's really like, I obviously asked the question because it's, prevalent, but it's really anywhere in any job. You know what I mean? You can find trouble and face temptation in anything that you do.
Yeah.
But maybe it might be a little bit more concentrated, of course, as an artist in a quote-unquote secular genre.
I mean, my whole life is really like God just speaks to me through King David, and I love the heart of David. I love the life of David, and you see David, who is a poet, a king, and a warrior. And I think as Christians and whatever we're in, and for me, I really relate to the poet and that warrior of just like, God's given me this heart of music and of song and of connecting with people through music, and I'm doing my best to like purify that for him. And at the same time, like, we're in a spiritual war, right?
100%, dude.
And so we're called to be soldiers and generals in that, and God has called me to the front lines in country music.
Yep.
And in this place and in this space and in this genre and in this community. So God, how do I honor you with that, and how do I truly be set apart? And I still don't have the answers to that, but I know that he's preparing a way.
Yeah, bro, 100%. And he chooses people for specific things, right? And like, what an honor that he's chosen you to be that light in this industry, like.
Yeah, it's such an interesting
cool.
thing. It's like, the calling of God on someone's life is so interesting to me, because I just know, like, there was never a place where I've tried to run so many times, as we all have.
Yep.
Like, there's been so many times I was like, this weight is too much. I don't want to have to think about this. I want to just do whatever I want to do. And God just always calls me back.
Yep.
And so I do feel like he has a calling for me in this genre and in this industry. And I just want to be faithful to whatever that is over the course of my career.
Yeah, bro, that's beautiful. And what you're talking about, obviously, like routines and spiritual disciplines and stuff. What does it look like for you on the road to like spend time with the Lord?
Yeah, I mean, there's the obvious of just trying to like stay disciplined, like every morning, like set aside time, get in the Word. Journaling's a big thing for me, like constantly journaling. Prayer journaling's a big deal for me. And then so much of it is like I do get to pick who is in my crew.
That's true.
And who I'm around. And so constantly having people that are calling me higher, and constantly have people that are lifting me up, and that's taken time to find that crew. But that's a big deal. But my wife's out here on this show. She doesn't come out to every show, but like when she's out, even she's super dialed. Like she's
dialed in.
She's dialed in.
Heck yeah.
And so like we'll be at shows, and I'll get off stage, and she's had like 3 prophetic words she's given the security guards while I'm on stage.
Come on.
And so I'm like, that stuff's really cool. And so there's those moments of encounter with fans where it's like someone come to you and be like, hey, I'm struggling with this, or I'm going through this, and it's like, hey, can I pray for you? And so in those moments, I really can see like a direct impact. But discipline-wise, like just trying to take what I do at home and like bring it out here and not waver in that, because I feel such a difference if I've been in my Word or if I haven't been, like throughout the day,
Of course, dude. Yeah, it's awesome. And I think what you're talking about, like, we are not meant to do this alone. You know what I mean? Like, if we silo ourselves, that's when the devil can get a foothold, of course, and like, tempt us or whatever it might be, or even just simply a lack of spending time with the Lord. And then that leads to obviously us acting out of our flesh. But you mentioned Dylan Marlowe earlier. What is y'all's relationship like? And is he kind of one of those guys that makes it a little bit easier maybe to kind of walk with the Lord.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's just like I feel like we have such aligned callings, and the way that we've been able to sharpen iron with each other and call each other higher is like, it's just like we're not on the battlefield alone, you know.
That's huge.
And we've gone through, our friendship has really been centered around like sanctifying each other and just like as husbands, as friends, as leaders, as artists, as songwriters, like all of our conversations are centered around just like how do we be better?
Yeah.
And so to have that, these birds are going crazy.
Yeah, they're going nuts right now.
What type of bird is that? You're from Florida?
It's got to be like a parakeet or something.
Okay.
See, that is not, there's no way. They're green.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You see those suckers? They're loud, that's for dang sure.
So he's been such a godsend, man. Like, you know, we didn't know each other until 3 or 4 years ago, and just like one of those like quick, like, you know, like truly we do life together now. He's about to have twin babies.
Oh, shoot.
And so we're about to gear up for that season, just support them, you know, and my wife is planning their baby shower right now, you know. But yeah, man, we're not called to walk alone, and I fully feel like God's given us each other to just help hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
Because, man, like, we need it.
No, that's huge, bro. It's so important to have that brother in Christ, man. Especially, like, of course, your wife is amazing, like, and everything, but something about that brother in Christ that can obviously celebrate you in the good times and then check you in the, you know what I mean?
You know, in this industry and like anything else, there's such a competitive nature to it.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And you really have to kind of just, like, attack that spirit. I think that's the demonic spirit of,
for sure,
you know, disunity and like, and so to have someone like that it's like, man, I'm so aligned with, that it's just like, dude, when he wins, I feel like I win, and vice versa, is such a dang blessing. And yeah, I mean, like, him and I, we're in a Bible study together, like, at home, and then yeah, he's on the show tonight, so, like, you know, we're going to dinner tonight, and it's just like, God, man, I'm so grateful for him and his heart.
That's so good, bro. And I feel like we kind of saw that with y'all's, like, whole social campaign for the Country in the Clouds, dude. That was awesome. That was so dope, dude. I love that,
bro. Like,
who came up with that idea?
It was my brother's idea. He does all my, like, videos and content.
No way.
So Dylan and I, like, we kind of had this joke where we were like, hey, this was like early in our friendship. We were like, we need to act like we hate each other.
Yeah.
So we just started to do a bit where we just acted like we were enemies.
Right.
And, like, the fans, like, most knew it was fake, but, like, you like, couldn't tell. And so it got to the point where people started to wear his merch to my shows and my merch to his shows.
No
and, like,
way.
Meet and greets where they'll come up and ask me to, like, sign Dylan's album and, like, the whole thing. And so at one point we were like, we need to, like, just take this new level and, like, go do a tour together. And so we were like, how do we, like, how should we, like, go from, like, enemies to best friends, like, that kind of be the whole bit. And so we had the idea of doing, like, stepbrother skits, and
I saw that one.
Dude, it was so fun.
Hilarious.
It was so fun.
And then y'all came out with that song, and
and then he came out with the song. It was perfect.
Listen to my version. Whoever gets the most likes, whatever.
Yeah, I forget where that came from. That idea, that was mine, because I was like, I just, like, did a video one day. And I was just like, hey, I'm gonna post this, and it was just like, acted like it was this whole controversy, and people love controversy, and so then it just, like, it just went back and forth, and God, it was so funny. I had, like, he legit, like, some of his, like, great aunts were, like, hate commenting on my post because they, like, didn't know I was joking, and it was hilarious. We were laughing so hard.
These birds are coming back,
They're going
dude.
crazy, man.
That is unbelievable. I wonder if you can hear those in the mic.
I mean, so we were talking before, like, you were on the road all of last year?
Yeah, dude. We started Wheels on the Ground in January, and with Elevation Rhythm, and our first big tour of the year was with Forrest Frank. It was a 27-show sold-out arena tour, and all across the country, and yeah, bro, it was wild, dude. And I had never ITM'd for that because I was just managing their socials before. And they, at the end of 2024, they asked me to TM, and I was like, I'm down to do whatever for y'all. I've never done it before, but.
What did you learn, like, in being on the road? Like, what did you see as?
Oh, bro. I think the two biggest things of my takeaway is my dependency on the Lord. I think kind of at the beginning, and I talked about this I think a little bit on the Forest podcast, but I mean, you know how it is, man. You get on that tour bus for the first time and it's just like chaos, especially as like the TM. You're the first one up and off the bus and you're the last one on at night. And then you think you know how the day's going to go, and it's just not like that at all. So I think it was just a new kind of like a new level of dependency on the Lord, because your battery, Forrest put it great, like your battery gets depleted so quickly because you're putting a fire out over here, you're getting a call from this person, people back home are hitting you up for information for whatever, and then next thing you know, it's like you're breaking down the show, and then you're like, holy crap, like I didn't read anything today, I didn't speak to Jesus once today, like whatever. So I think first just building in like that routine of however it is for you to get just even 5 minutes alone with the Lord. For me, it was like I was the first one off, so everybody was mostly still sleeping at that time. So when I was getting the green room ready, it's like that's my moment to just take a second in the quiet. And then I think the other thing, kind of going back to what you were talking about, like your camp, I was obviously fortunate enough to be on the road with a bunch of Christians, so that makes it a whole ton easier. And right from the jump, the guy who kind of runs Rhythm, his name's Josh Holiday, he said, hey, I don't want to tour like most people do, even Christian artists. Like we are going to be unified in this, because we had 12 people on a bus. So that's
crazy.
Christian or not, that's close quarters with human beings. You know what I mean? 100%. And we're all like not perfect. And so every day after we would eat breakfast, we would all do a little Bible study together. And if we had any issues, talk it all through right there, get it done, keep it pushing. So that way when it's actual show time, it's like we're going up there united as a team under Jesus Christ. And I think people can feel that, who are coming to worship. And so I think it was that, man. I think it's like carving that time out to have quiet alone time with Jesus, and then staying unified with like the people you're around. Man, I think that definitely, it's like, kind of like what you're talking about with like the hard times where you feel like God's asking you to do something that you are not qualified to do, usually means, always means that he's going to equip you to do it if it's in his will. And so it was tough, man, and it was taxing, but I think I just came out with a whole new dependency on Jesus, and so it was great. Yeah, it was really great.
Even that idea of God equipping, it's like I've kind of wrestled with that of like the grace of God on certain things, and like certain moments or certain aspects of my career where I'm like, God, it just feel like it has any grace on it, like whether that be trying to figure out social media and being like, trying to hustle in that way, and it's just like I don't feel like there's any grace on what I'm doing. So like, does that mean you want me to take a step back, or like show me, like equip me for what you have for me, and trying to use that kind of like when you feel like you're walking in grace and like things are easier, or things are coming to you, or things are natural, and balancing that with also like just doing the work at certain points. You know what I mean?
Sometimes you just got to do it.
It's like and not getting too like over spiritualizing it.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So that's something as an artist, because there's so many different job descriptions in one to be an artist,
Dude,
and like the job kind of never stops.
Yep.
And so just really trying to come to a place where like, God, I want to walk in grace on every aspect of this, and like you show me what that looks like.
Yeah, dude. And I think such an important thing is what you were talking about before, when you became independent and you were thinking about this project, and like just simply taking it to the Lord, you know what I mean? Because like he wants to be in those things with you, and he wants to give you those answers. And when you ask him, he will provide, you know what I mean?
Ask anything in my name and it'll be given to you.
Bingo. Dude.
On that, it's cool story, because I do feel like stepping out of everything, stepping out of the trial that we've walked through this year, and then the record deal, and then just all these things, like a full just life reset, right? And I got married last year, and that was a really hard first year of marriage, of just like, I got married, and then a month later I was like on the road every weekend, and then just like, there's a verse in I think Ecclesiastes or Leviticus or something that says like a man is not permitted to go to war the first year of his marriage.
Dang.
And
you were like, oh,
I was like, crap, bro. No wonder there's no grace right now.
Right.
And it's like, get married a month later, I go to war.
Right.
You know, and we were gone every weekend, and so inside of that, it's just like, it was just a challenging year, and then everything that happened, and I kind of thought that was like the Lord testing my heart, but actually, I think that was Him like preparing me for the test that actually came this year, you know.
Yep.
And then and so now that we're stepping out of that and into this new season, and it's like, there is such a peace I feel on it, and a grace, and there's been just like little moments that I've just like said things or asked the Lord for things, and it's just like He does it, like two really small examples, but I was sharing this with Dylan the other day, and just like trying to build each other's faith, but as we've been getting going, and like, you know, I go from this team of 50 people at a record label to a team of 5 guys that are just my buddies, and we're just like freaking cutting it.
Yeah.
And so there's all these different things, and I was like, we need to like really get like a brand logo. Like, that's kind of something as an artist that you kind of need, that specific like name, font, logo. And so I've said that a bunch before, but like as we were kind of getting going, I was saying that, and like the next day after I said it, some guy like DMs me, and he was like, hey man, I'd love to like make you a logo for free, like let me know.
No way.
Yeah, dude. I think his name's Zach Lawrence, so shout out to him.
Zach Lawrence.
I think he comes from the Elevation world.
So familiar.
He comes from the Elevation world.
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
I used to work with him.
No way.
Yes.
So bro hits me up.
Crazy.
Never met him. He's just like, hey, I love your music. Would love to make you a logo. He made me like a really, really cool logo.
Oh yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah, and so that was such a blessing.
Holy crap.
And then I was like talking to my wife. We just launched this clothing brand called the Storyteller brand, and she made this really cool logo for it. And I was like, dude, that'd be so cool to have like a chain with that logo on it as like kind of a staple brand piece.
Yeah.
And like a couple days later, this guy hits me up. He's like, hey, I work with this jewelry brand. We want to make you like a custom like necklace, any emblem you want on it.
No way.
And I was just like, dude, so they're literally making me exactly what I said. And I was just like, it's so small, but like literally ask anything of God and He'll give it to you.
Literally.
And that doesn't mean like always physical things.
Of course.
Like what that really means is like a lot of times is, and it has to be in God's will, but like anytime I've asked the Lord, hey, teach me how to pray. God, give me patience. Lord, teach me how to be a better husband. God, bring me godly friends. God, bring me a mentor. Like anytime I've asked those prayers that are so specifically in His will, like I know those are in His will based on Scripture, every time He answers them. Even down to like 2 prayers I've had recently. Like, God, help me wake up earlier, and God, help me read faster. Like, I love reading, and so like I really want to like be able to digest stuff quicker so I can read more books. And literally in the last 6 weeks, I've woken up at like 4:30 every morning since like praying that prayer, and like ready to go.
Yeah.
And then like I've been reading more than ever. It's like there's so much truth in that verse. Like if you're asking things in God's will, He'll give it to you. But also when there's a grace on things, and when God's put a favor on things, even down to, hey God, I need a logo made, or hey God, I need idea for this first video back, or hey God, whatever. He's like, He's a father who loves to give good gifts to His children.
Yep.
And I don't know, man, just like when you're walking in that grace, it is the best thing ever. And it's not always like that. But man, when you're abiding in Him, because that's the first part of that verse in John 15, abide in me and I will abide in you. Ask anything in my Father's name and it'll be given to you. And so there's such a prerequisite, but like if we're abiding in Him, man, it's just like our desires are His desires, and He wants to bless His desires.
Yep. Dude, that's huge. I just got the chills, bro, when you were sharing that, because it is a seemingly small thing.
Yeah.
But when you can see like the faithfulness of God even in the small things, man, I think it just builds your faith, and you're so right. Like when there's a grace on something that He wants to do through you, man, it's like his yoke is easy and His burden is light. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to go through trials and tribulation, obviously, but those things are also beneficial to our faith.
100%.
It's
consider it joy.
James 1:2-4, I think.
Yeah, consider it joy when you
brothers and
experience trials of testing of many kind.
Yep.
Testing your faith produces endurance.
Yep.
And endurance must do its complete work, so you mature and
Maturity.
complete and lacking nothing.
Lacking nothing.
Yeah, man. And
No.
when you realize the truth of that verse, considering it joy in any trial,
Bro.
that's where Philippians 4, the peace that passes all understanding, that's where that comes in.
Yes.
Because even in the darkest moment, you go, God, I don't understand this. I can't comprehend this. I don't know why you're leading me here, but I know that in the end, you will work all things for good.
All things.
You know? So.
Yeah, and we can have joy through it.
Yeah.
Like he promises that, you know what I mean?
It's the same joy as like when you're in a really hard workout, right?
Exactly.
It's like that same joy of like, God, this sucks, but I'm going to be stronger. I'm going to be better. I'm going to feel great.
100%, bro. 100%. And that's a lot of reason why I say never had a bad day, and why the whole thing is called Never Had a Bad Day, because we actually don't have to. You know what I mean? This is the day the Lord has made.
We have a hard day.
Of course.
But it doesn't have to be a bad day if you're looking at it through the lens of Christ and sanctification.
Yep.
And edification, as you said earlier today.
I definitely want to talk about the accident, because you just posted that video on YouTube, and I think, man, like, I have so much, empathy and so much prayer towards that situation for you, because that's obviously something that is extremely hard to walk through. And judging by your video, like, that took an extreme toll on you, and I think you and your marriage and things like that. Maybe walk me through just something that you learned through that situation, and because that could just break a lot of people from no return, really, especially career-wise or whatever it might be. So maybe just something you learned throughout that experience.
Yeah. I think for one, I learned that God is good beyond our understanding. That he is faithful beyond our understanding. And that God is a friend who loves to be there for his children. And in a moment of the darkest tragedy I could fathom, right? That came from a place of just like there was nothing, like it was so fluke in a moment. And you obviously wrestle with that of like, God, how did this happen? Like, but I had, I mean, obviously it's like a tricky thing for me to talk about, because
Of course.
there's so much weight, even in my testimony of it. But my whole heart in this conversation and before is, God, how do I honor you through this job? How do I like show what it looks like to live for Christ and be a country artist, be in a mainstream thing? And I think in my head that looked like staying out of trouble, staying clean, not drinking too much, and not cheating on my wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just like doing things the right way. And I think even in that, there's pride. That like,
yeah, it's like you're just doing it to be a good person kind
that
of thing.
And the fact that I think I can be a good person.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, that has been my heart, man. Since I like gave my life fully to the Lord in March of 2022 in Irvine, California, at a church called Oceans Church. That was the moment. And I said, God, I'm going to give you everything. Like, that was my heart, man. And so here I was in this situation where the worst possible thing I could imagine, like the darkest thing I could imagine, like, is handed to me. And I'm like, God, how does this align with like my will to please you and like to do this the right way?
Right.
This moment that really comes from just like a fluke moment. And I was speaking to one of my mentors named Gabe Bauhorn, give him a shout out. And I just was weeping. I just said, I just don't understand why God would let this happen. And he said, you know, Connor, when I read through scriptures, oftentimes suffering is a reward of our faithfulness, not the opposite. And that in our faithfulness, God will actually allow us to walk through suffering because he knows that through suffering, his glory is revealed.
Jeez.
And when I think about Christ and I think about the friend he longs to be for his creation, it's a friend that's able to meet people in the darkest moments of their suffering and say, I get it because I've been there.
Yep.
Like anything in this conversation we just met today, but like any level of friendship we're going to have is going to be based on the shared interest of what we have in common, which, you know, is obviously trying to honor God and trying to be faithful and do that for this generation.
Yep.
And in the same way with Christ, he chose the path to walk in flesh to the point of death on a cross and suffering in the darkest, most unimaginable, unjustified suffering possible.
Yep.
So that no matter what we walk through on earth, no matter how unjustified or how horrible it is, he can meet us in that moment and go, man, I get it. Me too. Right? And so to feel the friendship of God in those moments of incredible trial and incredible suffering. And like I said in that video, so much of the suffering and the trial is not even my own, but it's in the understanding of the suffering and trial of a family and this person and this life, and there's so much that my heart is to honor that and to like carry that legacy with me in my journey and to find so much healing there on every side. And so that's where I really struggle with talking about it, because I don't want to make it about myself. I don't want to make it like, you know, God did this so I could learn this, because I don't believe that.
Right.
Because I know God didn't want this to happen. This broke his heart more than anything.
Yeah.
But it was allowed to happen.
Yeah.
And a verse in Romans 16 says, like, you know, we will stomp on the head of the enemy and we will turn what he meant for evil and turn it against him.
Yep.
And that's my heart, is no matter what the enemy thought he was going to accomplish from tragedy, like, I will do everything in the name of Christ to turn that around and humiliate him.
Yep.
With what he meant for evil.
Yep. Yeah, bro, that's beautiful, man. I think that's one of my favorite parts of when I watched the video was that you kind of just started it off like, hey, this isn't even about me. You know what I mean? Because you're so right. Like, we can kind of get like, obviously in this case, there's another individual and family involved, but it could have been, like you're saying, easy to be like a woe is me moment. But I think you have such a beautiful heart towards like, this isn't even about me. Like, this is much bigger than me. And actually, this whole thing can be something to lift up the name of Jesus, which is what we're trying to do at the end of the day. And I'm thankful for you to be able to speak about it. I know I can't even imagine how difficult that is, but I know that even for me personally, like, it's encouraging to me to see somebody handle it like this in the way that you are, bro. So I know it's not a light thing and it's a heavy thing, and I really appreciate you sharing that, because I think it encouraged me, and I think it's going to encourage a lot of people, bro, even just through that video. Like, I think it's clear to see your heart in the situation and how much you love the Lord and how much you want to bring him glory through the situation. So I'm thankful.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I mean, man, God is unfathomably good, and there's so much that on this side of eternity we'll never understand, and sometimes we just have to come to that. And this is, you know, even in like, you can't just slap Romans 8:28 on it, because it's like, no, on this side of eternity, what occurred in the tragedy of an accident that where someone lost their life. That is not good, and that'll never be good.
Right.
There's nothing on this side of eternity that like that is gonna be good about that, you know? And like God says to walk with him and to walk, like, we are in an evil world that like that has been corrupted by sin.
Yep. And
we pay the price of that. And we have our hope not on this earth but in eternity and in Christ and in the restoration of him returning because of what he did on the cross.
Yep.
Right? And that is good.
Yep.
And so that's where I just like, I do believe 100% God will bring good from it, you know, in a way of hopefully impacting people for the kingdom of Christ.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean that like on this side of eternity it's going to be good. You know, it's like, it's hard to explain, but you get it. And so I think that's where kind of the delicacy I feel in speaking about it comes from. Because I just want to honor Christ, and I also want to honor her and her family and their believers. And
oh wow.
And that's really beautiful.
Yeah, bro, 100%. I mean, we saw it obviously with Charlie Kirk, right? Like, what a horrible and unimaginable thing for somebody to get murdered for, obviously a Christian and a brother in Christ, and then somebody who believed in discussion, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to get killed in that sort of way. But then, you know, in the aftermath and the wake of it, his funeral, and this just seems like an awakening of Christians and boldness
100%.
And the gospel being shared to millions for hours at his funeral. And
well, I mean, what's the verse that it's like, unless a seed is, you know, buried into the ground, it's like it cannot produce fruit. And
yep.
I think that is, you know, a verse really, until we have laid down, until we've died to ourselves.
Yep. Matthew 16.
You know, until we've died to ourselves, we cannot live for Christ.
Yep.
But, you know, I mean, obviously Charlie is, and that story and that the witness of Jesus to the world and that, and of forgiveness. And it's like, man, that'll radically shape the rest of my life.
Same.
You know?
Same.
And, even just my prayer since then of like, God, we are in a war.
In a war.
And the moment we act like, if you are in a battle and in a war and you are trying to act and you don't realize you're in a war and you're on a battlefield, you're going to die.
You're
going to get shot.
Yeah.
And so it's like we have to recognize every day that if we are stepping onto the front lines of, like you're trying to do with media, like we talked about, of trying to bring godly, youth-based, youth-focused, like entertainment and conversations, like you're stepping into the territory of the enemy, and he's going to attack you in that.
Yep.
In the same way that I'm, you know, sitting here as a country artist gonna sing worship on stage tonight. You think he wants that to happen?
Heck no.
You know? And it's like, if we lose sight that we are running a race and we have to run with endurance and that we are in a war and we are on the battlefield every day, like that's where you get shot.
Yep.
That's where you lose hope. That's where you lose steadfastness. And so that daily perspective, man, is everything.
It's huge, bro. It's huge. That's beautiful. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer here.
Listen,
but
I'm having fun,
this
bro.
conversation is
fun.
absolutely phenomenal.
Same to you.
I think I can't agree more with you, man. And I think, for me personally, I think that was kind of like a wake-up moment, and I think a lot of people kind of had that. I mean, when that happened, I've never been like so physically and emotionally affected from somebody's death that I'd never even met before.
100%.
But I was like sick for like 2 days,
100%.
bro.
Yeah, it was so heavy.
Because it just it felt like, first of all, this is horrible, and the fact that it happened the way it did is like, I can't even believe this just happened. And second of all, just to look up to him as, you know, another brother in Christ who was fighting the good fight, for him to be gone. But I think a lot of people woke up and kind of realized, like, holy crap, like, we are in a war. And, you know, as horrible as that is, like, the fight continues to go on. And I think exactly what you're saying, we've been placed in these specific areas as really, you know, we're in the army of the Lord, you know what I mean? And we're not fighting against flesh and blood, but against rulers and principalities of the dark. And, like you're saying, the moment we lose focus of that, we're cooked, bro.
Yeah, man. 100%. I'll tell you a cool story in that too. After that happened, I mean, that was September 10th, I think. And so still we were in a place of we weren't, like, we were playing some shows, but, like, we weren't doing anything. Like, we were still just, like, real quiet and still just kind of called to a place of hiddenness. And after that happened, man, I was so stirred in my spirit. And I wrote in my journal, and I was praying, and I just wrote this letter to the Lord, and I just said, Lord, get me off the sidelines.
Wow.
Like, I'm done on the sidelines right now, and I'm done, and I understand there are seasons of hiddenness and all those things, but God, like, I'm ready to get back on the battlefield and, like, preach the gospel and to call people to know your goodness and to see your goodness and to see a life laid down for you. And, like, God, you gotta move something, because I'm just done, you know, sitting here.
Yeah.
And 2 days after that, I'm flying out to California, and I get a call, like, right before the plane takes off. Like, literally 2 days after praying that, out of nowhere, and a guy called me. He said, hey, what are you doing next Saturday? And I was like, nothing. He was like, there's a show at a Navy base that is, like, for a televised Veterans Day thing. Like, the White House is going to be there. We want you to be the headlining artist.
No way.
Go play this, like, show at a Navy. It was like, bro, it was like one of the coolest things I've ever done. Like, we were literally playing, like,
crap.
We were literally, like, playing in front of, like, $1 billion of artillery behind us, of just, like, tanks and planes and all this stuff, like, whole taping and getting to do it for, like, the Navy, and got to meet some amazing people from the White House and all this stuff. It was so cool, because it was, like, literally 2 days after, out of literally, like, absolutely nowhere, like, one of the craziest asks I've ever been, if not the craziest. And it was 2 days after praying that prayer, like, God, you gotta, like, get me off the sidelines here. Like, I'm ready to step into the battlefield and preach your name.
That is insane, dude. I mean, it just reminds me of, like, here I am, Lord, send me. You know what I mean?
100%.
Just being an available vessel to do his work. And I think there's something that comes with that, like, availability, where if we ask, like, and we're...
What was that verse in 1 Samuel, I think 16, that says, the Lord searches to and fro throughout all the earth, looking for a heart, like, fully surrendered to him?
Bingo.
You know, it's like, all right,
Bingo.
God, like, I do not want your eyes to pass me by.
Yes.
Thinking, he's 90%
bro.
surrendered. He's almost there. He's 95% surrendered. Like, no, I want to be fully surrendered to him. So when he sees me, he goes, yeah, I can trust him with anything. And I'm still in that process, you know. I think with every new level, there's a new level of surrender.
Yep.
But it's just like, that's got to be our daily prayer.
Yeah. And even past that, like, thinking about meeting him face to face on Judgment Day, and, like, we're going to be accountable for the things that we did here on earth. You know what I mean? This isn't our home. We're just passing through. Our citizenship's in heaven as believers. If we've confessed with our mouth and we believe in our heart that Jesus is the Lord, of course, this isn't our home. But just thinking about that moment of, like, we are going to be face to face. And I do not want him to say, I never knew you. You know what I mean? Like, I want him to say, well done, good and faithful servant. Like, and I feel like if you live with that in mind, it reshapes how you think about things and do everything.
Everything.
You know what I mean?
And just think about the image of, like, how many people you could show up at heaven, and there could be a crowd of people that are there and be like, hey, I'm here because of you. And that could be someone's grandkid you never met, but you met their granddad, and I sang a worship song on stage. I never met him, and they were impacted on the drive home, or they listened to one of your podcasts and it created a heart of them of holiness and of sanctification, and like, man, I am anxious, I am living depleted, I am living out of grace, like I am in a marriage that is not honoring to Christ, or a relationship that's not honoring to Christ, and it changes, it puts a seed in their heart.
Yep.
Like, we've been given that opportunity, and that's why the war is so great.
Yep.
That's why the closer you get to that and that impact and that ability, and the greater that impact comes. And you think about a guy like Charlie, like, he was making such incredible impact on like the highest level of I mean, like, his TikTok and his social media presence was like one of the largest in the world.
Yep.
And it was preaching the gospel a lot of the time.
Yep.
And it was driving people back to their marriage and to being a father and to accountability and responsibility.
Yep.
And it's like, no wonder the devil did everything he could to take that out, right?
Yep.
And so I think about like stepping into heaven and thinking about generations on generations that you could impact from just a word, and just living intentionally in one day, or giving one, or praying over one person, or giving one prophetic moment, or you know, having one conversation with a friend. It's like, dude, we could show up at heaven and have this whole crowd of people that are like, man, thank you.
Thank you.
And that is the coolest image to me.
Bro, it's insane, dude. That's crazy to think about. And just the fact that it's like, maybe it's a seed, but somebody else waters. I think that's like a really encouraging thing to think about, because maybe from stage, you're not always going to
For sure.
see the fruit of what you're doing. You know, God's asking you to be obedient, whatever that looks like. It's doing the worship song in the set, or posting a video, or whatever it might be. And we might not always see the fruit of that, but we planted the seed, and that's what he asked us to do, you know?
Yeah.
Dang, that's a crazy thought, bro. What do you have time?
You're good, bro.
Okay.
Keep riding. I'm chilling. See, my wife's out here, and Dylan's wife's out here, so they're best friends. They're in the bus right now, so they're gonna hang out all day.
Okay,
so, like,
perfect. You're chilling.
I'm free, man.
Okay, bet.
I'm free.
Bet. It's kind of to change the subject, but not really. I feel like a lot of times as Christians, like, the drinking thing is always like such like a, I don't know, topic that people discuss. So I always wonder what like people think about, like, as a Christian, like, what do you think about like drinking?
It's a good question. I mean, I think there's obviously a clear line of drunkenness, obviously.
Yep.
I think God's going to give personal convictions to each person on their limit with drinking. I've been having the conversation. I don't have any sort of wrestle with drinking.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's not something like I can have one beer and not want a second.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm grateful for that. And so in that, like, I haven't felt that personal conviction. But I'm also at a place where, like, I had this conversation with my two best friends 2 nights ago. I was just like, hey, I'm at this place where the cost of drinking and, like, getting bad sleep and, like, not feeling great the next morning, even just having one or two, is, like, not worth it to me right now, because I don't really crave it that much. So,
right.
like, I'm like, should I just, like, not drink and just, like, do that?
Right.
And then I have this conversation with my wife a lot where, you know, because she said this the other day, and it's so true. She said, you know, the higher that God takes us, the less we can bring with us. So I could totally see him at some point just being like, hey, I want you to lay that down.
Yeah.
But personally, I don't have that conviction. I know other people that do, just based on what they feel like God's called them to.
Yep.
And so that's kind of where I sit with it, is like, I mean, at the end of the day, God's first miracle was with wine.
Yeah.
Like, the imagery of wine throughout the scriptures is actually unbelievable. The breaking of you know, the bread and the wine,
yep.
and the Holy Communion. Like,
yep.
like there's, so I in so much through Ecclesiastes, you see Solomon talking about, like, the joy of celebration.
Yep.
And so it's if there's ever an issue that's not black and white, it's that one. And
yeah,
I fully believe it's just like a personal thing, and especially if you're able to, like, because I've had some of the best testimony encounters and, like, conversation around Christ with some of my buddies over a glass of whiskey.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a
bro.
relatability moment.
Yep.
The song I just put out yesterday is,
I was literally
you
about to
know,
say, yeah.
is like talking about that exact thing of like meeting a guy at a bar and talking about Jesus over a beer.
Yep.
So, I think it's like we started with Zen, you know. I think it's just
Yeah.
one of those things. It's just like, hey, if it at any way is like hindering anything in your walk with the Lord and in your ability to be present with Him at any moment, then just lay it down.
Yep.
But if not, then like enjoy the celebration of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's that verse. It's like if your right hand is causing you to sin, like cut it
Yeah.
off. You know what I mean?
100%.
No, I feel the same way, bro. I think in and of itself, it's not a sin. Kind of like money. Like money in and of itself is not a sin, but when it turns into the love of money, the Bible says it's the root of all evil.
100%.
So, yeah, I feel the same way. I like getting people's perspective on that because I feel like
Good question. Yeah.
throughout Christians and church and all that stuff, it's like it's the age-old question, right?
Yeah, 100%.
People have certain opinions on it, but I always think it's interesting to see where people are at with it. All right, last question, and we'll wrap up. But I like to ask this question to everybody. I think it's just cool, especially if you're younger and you're watching this. It could be helpful. But if you could go back to 16-year-old Connor and tell him anything, what would you tell him?
Man, I don't even know. It's just like, I think my perception of so many things back then of what my career would look like or my life, or like, I think about, and I even feel it now, like I think about what I would tell myself when I'm 80, looking at myself now. I try to live my life, this is kind of a side point, I try to live my life based on the perspective of like the grandfather I want to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 'Cause it just puts
100%.
in perspective, like, you know, I got married young. I got married at 23, and like, because I just have this heart of just like I want to like create legacy and impact and like build a beautiful family and, you know, be a granddad one day where I've got 20 grandkids, you know, sit around the table like that.
Oh, that's the dream, bro.
And I think about like the perspective and the peace that will come with, you know, because like, bro, how old are you?
28.
Yeah, 28. I'm 25. It's like the anxiety of your 20s is a lot.
Through the roof, dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like this constant wrestle of like, am I living in God's will? Like, is He gonna use me? Is He gonna bless these like things in my hands? Like all these gifts and talents and different uniquenesses He's given me. Like, is He actually gonna like, did He actually give me those on purpose to like use that? Like,
Oh, yeah.
there's so much anxiety of those
Yep.
things. But then you go watch a video of a guy in his 80s and he's just like so at rest and so at peace. I love like Dallas Willard is one of my favorite theologians. And like that was a guy that was just so at rest and so at peace. And you see videos of the guys and you're like, what would you say to, you know, in your 20s? Like, God's going to work it out.
Yeah.
Like, God is good. Like, all things happen in His timing.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah. And I feel that now of just like, I'm 25 and, you know, feel behind in some ways or thought my career would go certain directions and felt like I failed in these areas or wish I had revisionist history in these ways.
Yep.
And then I just look at where my life is now and the peace I feel right now and just like, I actually am sitting in this chair by the water right here.
Dude, I was literally about to say,
you know what I
like,
mean? Like about to play a festival and like I actually feel really in line with his will and His calling. And just the anxiety of like the last years, I would just try in any way to get that thought in a couple sentences. You know what I mean?
100%.
And it's the most cliche one, but it's the most real one that just like, hey, trust His timing. Because I think I wrestle with the question because I think I could say those things and I know for a fact that my 16-year-old self would not have lived any different or
Yeah.
thought any different.
Yeah.
My wife and I were talking with my parents last night at dinner, and we were like, it's so funny, before we got married, you could have told us anything about marriage. You could have given us any advice or told us how hard it was or whatever, and we would have been like, cool. And we would have not thought it was true and be like,
Right,
no, it's not
kinda
going to be
brush it
us, you know?
off, yeah.
And then you get married and you realize there's so many things that you're bringing into this marriage that you have to lay down, and that marriage is actually just a vehicle for sanctification, and it's not just some vehicle for your own pleasure.
Yeah.
It's
And a representation
it's
of
a representation,
Jesus in the church.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
the whole point is, like it says over and over, husbands, love your wife as Christ has loved the church.
Yep.
And what does that mean? That means like die, get on a cross for your wife.
Yep.
You know, and you could tell me that right now, and I would, before I got married or whatever, and I would have been like, oh wow, beautiful.
Yeah,
you know,
beautiful. That's
And-
good. That's good.
and then you get to a, you know, oh crap, that's what dying to myself looks like today.
Yep.
Looks like changing my plans and laying down my ambition in these areas and like all these things. And so I think that's where my head goes on that question.
Yeah. No, I love that, bro. It's so true. I mean, even like, are both of you have both parents? Yeah. I feel like even thinking about like, you know, we're such like thick-skulled people when we're young. You know what I
For
mean?
sure.
And it's like, I feel it now being, you know, in my later 20s, which I don't even like saying that. I don't feel like it. But like, even just like all the moments growing up where it's like you take your parents such for granted, you know what I mean? And now it's like I'm watching them get older, and I just, you know, the thought I had the other day is my dad's birthday, and I think he turned like 64, and I looked up like the average male life expectancy in America, and it's like 74.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, statistically speaking,
Wow.
I have 10 years left with my father, who is like, he's my hero. Like, if I could be like a man one day when I grow up, I would love to be like him.
Wow.
And so to think like, God, all the moments I had as a kid to learn from him or spend more time with him, and now I don't live there anymore, and it's like, oh, I just crave, you know, being around him. It's just such an interesting thing to think about, like you going back to that state of mindset of you think you know everything and you think you got all the time in the world. Like, you're probably not going to listen to any advice.
100%.
But man, everything happens.
I would say I would point. I think it's Romans 6 that talks about. I'm gonna butcher this verse, but it talks about being a slave to righteousness.
Yep.
And there's this verse where Paul is like, become a slave to righteousness, for when you were a slave to sin, think of all the things that embarrassed you. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
It's like, God, that's so good.
So good.
Like, that's so relatable.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, 2,000 years later, he's talking about the embarrassment of sin.
Yeah.
Think about how many times you've drinking too much and woken up just anxious of embarrassment. You don't even know if you did anything wrong the night before at all. You're like, you never got out of hand, but you just drank a little bit too much. And you're like, did I say anything stupid?
Right.
And that shame and anxiety and embarrassment. And it's like, that's Paul talking about that 2,000 years ago.
2,000 years
You know what I
ago,
mean?
bro.
And so I would just be like, hey, bro, that's real. Like, if you become a slave to, like, righteousness,
Yep.
and if that's, like, the pursuit of your heart, like, you're going to have a lot more fun. Your relationships are going to thrive. Your friendships are going to be so solid. And, like, you're just going to be at peace.
Yep.
And, like, that verse to me, I love that verse, and I think I would point my younger self to that.
Yeah. No, that's good, bro. Well, thank you so much for doing this, dude. Seriously, I appreciate you taking the time to do it, man. And I have thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you better,
Oh,
bro.
man.
It's been such a good combo.
Thanks for asking me and giving not only me but people a platform to speak on faith and
Yeah.
what you're doing and your heart for the generation. We just met today, but I fully believe that God is setting you apart for that and giving you that calling and that grace, and that there's going to be a lot of impact, and I've seen that before. I've watched your podcast before, years ago, and some of the conversations, the first conversation you had with Forrest 2 years ago or whenever that was,
yeah.
Dude, that podcast like rocked me. Like, there were so many things. I sent that to a ton of people, and there were so many things from that conversation with Forrest that like convicted me so hard as an artist and as a musician, and that came from you giving him a platform to speak on that. And so
Yeah.
thank you for doing that, man.
Oh, bro. all praise to Jesus, man, because you and me both know we can't do this on our own. You know what I mean?
100%.
That's good, bro. Hey, would you mind if I just pray for you real quick before we wrap this up? Dear Heavenly Father, first of all, Lord, thank you for your goodness and your mercy and your kindness, and even just where we are today, Lord, sitting in your creation, God. We're just so thankful for who you are and what you've done for us. And I just pray for my brother Connor right now, and just what an incredible vessel for your kingdom he is, God. And I pray that you would just to continue to bless him with not only impact and influence, but intimacy with you, God. Continue to bless his marriage. Put a hedge of protection around him and his wife. Send angels of protection around them to continue to do your work, God. Give them new visions and new dreams to glorify you, God, and to continue to do your work here on this earth. And God, just give him joy, give him peace, and just continue to bless him. And thank you so much for the life he's living. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, bro.
Amen, bro.
That was awesome.
Come on now.
I love that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.